Shalom, shalom to the family. Street baptism back with more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we believe comes directly from the Father through his son, Yahusha or Yeshua or Yahweh Shai Mashiach. Whichever pronunciation somebody decides to use is all right. As long as you call on the Father or the Creator in the name of his only begotten, Hamashiach, which is the Messiah or the Anointed. Praise God. Much love to the family and the individuals trying to follow in the footsteps of the Messiah in truth and sincerity by way of humility. Street baptism back. We're gonna get right into it. How to use your study tools. We're gonna be looking at this book right here, which many people are familiar with. Some people aren't familiar with it, but if not, we're gonna get familiar with it today. It's called From Babylon to Timbuktu. Praise God. Babylon is a reference to ancient Babylon, and Timbuktu is a reference to a chief city in West African empire. Praise God. And that's spoken of or about in this book. But From Babylon to Timbuktu is a reference to the movement of these people that this book is about. So this book is about many different people groups, but it's specifically or mainly a history of ancient black or brown races, including the black or brown Hebrews by Rudolph R. Windsor, designed by F.L. Hagen. Praise God. We got some cover art, as you can see. Praise God. You got a Tower of Babel right there. I believe that's what that is. And this is some more imagery right here. Let's read the back, because the back is important. From Babylon to Timbuktu, a history of the ancient black races, including the black Hebrews. Rudolph R. Windsor. It says, until comparatively recent times, knowledge that black Africa was the seat of highly evolved civilizations and cultures during a time when Europe stagnated was limited to a small group of scholars, meaning the information concerning what's in this book about empires in Africa, North Africa, South Africa, East, West Africa, Central Africa, the knowledge was limited to a small group of people for a time. But now it's about to, it's opened up, it's expanded. It says that great empires such as Ghana and later Mali flourished for centuries while Europe slept through its dark ages, almost has been ignored by historians. Thousands of years before that, as Rudolph R. Windsor notes in his enlightening book, civilization began with the black races of Africa and Asia, including the Hebrews, who in biblical times were jet black, very dark-skinned. Then Western Europe had no nations as such, and its Stone Age inhabitants, or old, very, very ancient inhabitants, had but the crudest tools and lived in caves. So it's saying that these people in these quote-unquote African or Asian/African civilizations, these people were developing and growing at a greater rate and greater pace than the people in Europe, Central Europe, Western Europe, etc. I should have brought my world atlas, but if you look on the atlas, if you look at a map, you can see where these places are, etc., etc., and get an idea of where in the earth this brother is doing his work and getting his research from. It says, because of the scarce literature on the contributions of blacks to world civilization, most people today hold the erroneous opinion that the black races have little real history. It was not known, for instance, that the ancient Hebrews, Mesopotamians, Phoenicians, and Egyptians were black or very dark-skinned. Now, a growing body of literature is presenting the illustrious history of the blacks and their enormous contributions. And it's not, just to kind of correct some of what he just said, praise God for this brother, it's not that the history is scarce as in it doesn't exist. It's that the history is being covered up. Whether you somebody that believes, oh, they got a lot of this stuff in the Vatican, or you believe that it's in England, in the Queen's holdings, or whatever the case, wherever you believe it's at, it's all throughout the earth, because wisdom is all throughout the earth. But people are covering this history up on purpose because there is a hidden agenda, and that hidden agenda is now coming to light, and that's kind of some of what the brother just said. It says this carefully researched book is a significant addition to this vital field of knowledge. That's a fact. It sets forth in fascinating detail the history from earliest recorded times of the black races of the Middle East and Africa. Mr. Windsor's discussion of Islamic civilization and the movement of the black Hebrews to all parts of Africa is edifying and absorbing. Readers, regardless of race, will find this factual story of a noble heritage, a valuable enrichment to their knowledge of world history. So what's entailed in this book is a lot of what you won't learn in your public schools or in your charter schools or in your boarding schools or in your Catholic schools or in your Christian schools, etc., etc. This is history that the people, and we had just did a lesson. The people at the top, Sirach chapter 10 and verse 1 through verse 4, Psalm 12, the people at the top don't want the common individuals or the layman or the average person to know about this history, or the average people to know about this history, because it's gonna open up a door for you as far as your mental, as far as your thought process. That's what happens, because when you know where you come from, you begin to know where you're going. You have a better understanding of what you're here for and your purpose in the earth. So let's get more into this book real quick. We won't take too long. So the biography, praise God. This is the brother right here, Rudolph R. Windsor. Now we about to read into some of his credentials and some of his life. This is his biography, praise God. Dr. Rudolph R. Windsor was born in Long Branch, New Jersey. After living in a number of Jersey communities, his family settled in Philadelphia, where he attended community college, studying psychology and political science. He continued his educational pursuits at Gratz College, majoring in Hebrew/Aramaic studies, Temple University, where he majored in Middle Eastern studies, and the University of Metaphysics, where he received his PhD in metaphysical philosophy. So now people will say, who cares about his credentials? You getting that paper from these people that run a society? What do they know? How can they provide or say who's credible and who's not concerning what you learn and what you don't, and what you know and what you don't? That is true, because the Bible talks about in 1 Corinthians specifically and elsewhere how the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God, and God's wisdom is foolishness to people of this world. Praise God. At the end of the day, though, it's beautiful to have truth in every realm. So this brother understood that and he pursued that. Praise God. In addition, he is married to Mary Robinson Windsor, has 4 sons and a daughter. He says of his book, "My motive in writing it," and this is a quote, "is to give the true history of the Afro-Americans, which has been excluded from some or most textbooks. Dr. Windsor is a strong advocate of the economic, cultural, and moral development of the black community." And that's what we need. Economic development, cultural development, and moral development. If we not focus on that, because that has everything to do with breaking generational curses, this is a beautiful book to get. If we not focus on that, then what are you really doing? Praise God. It says, in serving the community, he has been a member and president of several organizations, was a delegate to the Black Power Conference of 1968, and a delegate on behalf of the Ethiopian Jews to meet with Mr. Makonnen, an official of the Ethiopian mission to the United Nations in the early 1970s. And then it gives you some more information. I'm gonna read the last paragraph. Finally, Dr. Windsor over the years has appeared on radio and TV talk shows, lectured at congregations, organizations, universities, and has traveled to Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and the Caribbean. And the reference to the Middle East is Syria, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iran, North Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula, Turkey, Armenia, etc. That's what he's talking about when it says the Middle East, because there's really no such thing as the Middle East. Where's the Middle West? Where's the Middle South or the Middle North? Praise God. So let's read some more. You got pictures in here of the Ethiopian Jews. You got pictures, and you got the alphabet here in the comparison. You got the Latin. You got the Greek. You got the Old Aramaic. You got the Paleo Hebrew. Here's some more pictures. Here's some, I believe this right here is Falasha Bar Mitzvah from May 1984 in Ashkelon, which is in today's Palestine or Israel. Praise God. And you got some more there. Beautiful book to grab again, from Babylon to Timbuktu. The publication date for this book is 1969 by Rudolph R. Windsor. That's when it was first published, and it was published as a hardback. Praise God. It gives you the dedication. It gives you the preface. Praise God. And you got the contents. And I'm going to go through just a little bit of information that people use this book for, as well as some other information, as long as I got time. The preface, ancient black civilization, Sumer and Kush, the origin of the white race. Chapter 3, Afro-Asian culture goes to Europe. Chapter 4, the original black Jews. Chapter 5, black civilization in Africa. It's a lot of good history. But I'm going to read some of this. And then you got, oh, okay, you got chapter 6 too. I'm going to read some of this though, just some of it. Let me read this real quick. So we're going to go to page 48, where it says Islam and Judaism. It says the Prophet Muhammad adopted many principles and laws from the Jewish religion, or from the Jewish culture, or from the Israelite culture. First of all, the basic idea of monotheism, which is the belief in one God. The Jewish confession of the unity of God is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And that's Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. The Mohammedan slogan is as follows: La ilaha illa Allah, Muhammad Rasul Allah. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the prophet of Allah. Basically saying that he stole this from Deuteronomy 6 and 4, or from the Israelite culture. Muhammad adopted also the main details of the Israelite calendar, the Day of Atonement, which he turned into, what do you call it? Ramadan, the month of Ramadan. He turned that Day of Atonement into the month of Ramadan. This is real history, not just in this book. Even in this book, it's sources in this book. It says the Sabbath, which I believe in most Arabic countries or Arabic faiths or holdings, it's on the Sabbath is Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Praise God. It says the Sabbath, most of the Bible, a lot of the Bible, and narratives from the Midrash and many points of the ritual law. Incidentally, the Jews pray 3 times a day facing the city of Jerusalem, and the Muslims, true believers, pray 5 times a day facing the city of Mecca. Praise God. Trying his best, Muhammad sought to convert the Jews to his new religion, but to no avail, and that turned into enmity that he had against these people. And this is why you get, Islam in the name of the sword. You got to accept it in the Middle East and the ancient Near East, and how they started to move west throughout the northern Sahara, all the way until they got to Spain, Portugal, and et cetera, et cetera. Let's get something else real quick. Let's get some more history. Let's get some more history. So if you go to page 84, in the second paragraph, or the first full paragraph, it says, in the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Israelite state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa. Fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery, the slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves, from page 84 in this book. Under the subtopic or subhead, Black Civilization in Africa. Praise God. What else can we find? Let me see. Let me just get one more. Again, this is just a beautiful book to get. Grab this book. Praise God. You can find it on Amazon. You can find this book. Just type it in, shopping on Google on your search engine, From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor. It says on page 115, the expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal. It was AD 1492, January 2nd, when the Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Let me keep going down. I'm going to read the second paragraph. In order to satisfy Queen Isabella of Spain, King Manuel of Portugal promulgated or brought forth a royal decree expelling the Jews and Moors from his country in 1496. And Portugal is to the west of Spain. So it provides some good history, because after this, it goes into, praise God, how, people got scattered from Spain and Portugal. And it wasn't just West Africa, or South Africa and Central Africa, or East Africa, which has to do specifically or intrinsically with a whole different slave trade known as the Sub-Saharan slave trade, or the East African slave trade from Tanzania or the Zanzibar Islands. And this is spoken of in this book as well. So y'all check this book out. It's a whole lot of good information in this book. Again, information that they will not teach you in school. It don't matter what your race is. Read this book. This is true history. We need this history, praise God, because we got to be able to break generational curses and teach this stuff to our children, because they don't know it, but they need to know it. With that being said, again, check this book out, y'all. Grab this book, How to Use Your Study Tools. Street Baptism out. Shalom.